Okay, so this is a bit of a demonstration of a new product called Aloha 7, which has a remarkable list of ingredients and a lot of amazing trace elements for health and healing. It's really a wellness product, or we'd say a food supplement. And so here we have distilled water, have ionized water, Volvic water, which is the only water we actually recommend if you need to get water as a bottled source, and there's tap water over there. So here we have a light bulb attached to 240 volts, and there's the two electrodes. So if we turn this on, if there's a current going, we should get the light coming on, but nothing happens there. So let's turn it off. Let's put it into the ionized water, obviously great insulator water. Off. Here we go into Volvic, which has lots of minerals in it, according to the label. There we are, nothing happens. And there we have tap water. Again, let's turn that on. We don't recommend tap water, obviously, but there you go, just to show you. So we come back to our distilled water. We have two leading products here. Let's take the first one. We won't say who they are, but this is fulvic acid minerals. So what we'll do is we will turn this on, spray it in. Again, nothing happens. Okay. Okay. Let's now try the ionized water, which is very similar to distilled water, and we'll put another leading brand in here. Pop that in. Again, nothing happens. So then we'll take Volvic water, and we'll just put a few drops of this in here. It's on now, so let's drop that in. Wow, you can see very quickly what happens with this particular product. So what are the ingredients in Aloha 7? Well, the first and major ingredient are very special ionic minerals, 78 plus of them. These are full of magnesium in pure soluble form. They're all pure soluble forms of boron, yttrium, trace elements that really are super important for your health and typically not in the soil and certainly not in your supermarket foods. These minerals, they're kind of brought up in these salt lakes on a solid bed of mineral crystals, and they go through all four distinct seasons. They're under the sun, the stars, the moon. Esoterically, they're picking up all these subtle energies, and this is why that, in our opinion, they're really supreme and stand out way above any other product. They're also full of such potential that the osmolarity, in other words, the magnetic pull of these minerals, are fantastic for creating cellular potential on cell membranes. And energy medicine is all about voltage, it's all about healing of cells. Dr. Jerry Tennant points out that an average healthy cell is somewhere between minus 25 to minus 30 millivolts, which means it's donating that energy to all the cells around it. And he points out that a cancer cell typically would be around about plus 25 to plus 30 millivolts, which means it's stealing energy. It's an electron stealer. Anything that steals electron is bad for you. Everything donates is good for you. And so these minerals at the base of Aloha 7 are fantastic for powering up your cells really quickly. And so the next major item we have in Aloha 7 is the salts of the zodiac. They were called the salts of salvation. And there was a very famous homeopath called Schussler back in the 1840s, 50s and 60s, who actually looked at people who'd been cremated. He looked at the ashes and found these 12 salts. And he surmised, being a homeopath, that if you didn't have one of these salts in the body, or you were low on it, you would have a particular type of disease. And people called this the chemistry of life in the 19th century. The salts are super important because effectively we're in the womb for about 9 months. So the 3 months we're not in the womb, those 3 months, we don't have those cell salts in the same amounts and the same quantity. And it's been well proven now, we believe, that missing one of these salts, or several of them, or having low amounts of them, will actually result in physical dis-ease. So what we've done with Aloha is to put all 12 salts back into this mixture. And we put them back in in a minute trace form, but also as a sort of general homeopathic. And in fact, there was a book written in 1932 by Inez Uradora Perry called The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation, and showing how amazingly important these salts are for getting people healthy and staying healthy. And they were published in 1932 by the Carrie Perry School of the Chemistry of Life. The next ingredient is ormus, sometimes spelt O-R-M-E-S or O-R-M-U-S, which stands for orbitally rearranged monatomic elements. People like Sir Lawrence Gardner, who was very much involved with the gentry and royalty, being a Sir, revealed in some of his books the secrets of the Lost Ark and the search for the Holy Grail, and seems to have uncovered the fact that many of the ancients had piles of white powder in their palaces and their castles. Soon after revealing this, he seems to have mysteriously had a few health problems, but who am I to say why that may have been? We put this into the Aloha because it is super at activating the pineal, focus, mental clarity, the results have shown. And if you put this onto your vegetables, a form of ormus, they grow an awful lot faster and an awful lot bigger. Some say between 200 and 300%. So next we add two types of structured water. Now, I've been personally studying water for 30 years and I still can't claim I totally understand it at all. And many people who are much more intelligent than myself would also admit that. But we do know that homeopathics work. We do know that when you pray over water, things change. We know that Masaru Emoto, in his book Hidden Messages in Water, showed absolutely categorically you could change the structure of water with your consciousness. And Professor Powell talks about the way the water in the cell changes to electromagnetic frequencies. We have many books, including The Fourth Phase of Water, showing that there is different phases of water, much more than we thought of the three that we understand, solid, liquid and gas. So Dr. Patrick Flanagan, who also wrote Pyramid Power, absolute guru, he discovered Hunza or crystal water, which has the highest zeta potential of any water, the highest charge, and is shown to be 2.5 times more powerful in removing nasties from the body. We also then add double helix or hexagonal water, another super powerful water. Professor Dana Flavin, who I interviewed 4 years ago, probably on our members area and Payne Genie, she showed that, or the research shows that cancer cells are about 20% hexagonal water, whereas normal cells are around about 80% hexagonal water. So we really do think that by adding this, the results we've seen so far, we're getting a much greater charge and a much better way of removing nasties from the body. So we add both of these waters and we think they're really fantastic for your health. And next we add some fulvic acid, mainly because of its action for gut health, detoxification, coming from decomposed plant matter. It's very good for things like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and nutrient absorption. We then add a bioenergized remedy called polarity. In the body field itself, the human body field, we're very much affected by electromagnetic frequencies, toxins, negative emotions, stress. All these things add up to effectively what's called a left-hand spin. Anything that's negative or steals electrons typically will corkscrew to the left, whereas positive things, natural things, will corkscrew to the right. Many people have seen different devices that you can buy that help to charge things on plates. Well, this remedy we add because we're finding now that pretty much everybody suffers from depolarization. And when your body's depolarized, that area of depolarization, it's very hard for it to heal. It just gets blocked, mainly because the charge is wrong. And so if you imagine two negative pole magnets, you have a real job putting them together because they'd repel each other. And this is what happens in the body. So polarity is added to give a good chance of repolarizing and therefore add to significant health benefits. And we also add methylene blue. This is really kind of a holy grail because there are so many conditions that methylene blue has been shown to help. either drastically or at least make some inroads with. My take on it, the reason there's so many, and bearing in mind this was developed back in the 1850s and 60s as a dye, and they would put it on linen. They would dye linen blue, and it also acted as an antifungal. So the linen was stored often in damp conditions, and being an antifungal and a dye, it kept the linen in good shape so people didn't lose money. The big thing here is the thyroid. In Chinese medicine, the thyroid is the sanjiao, or the triple heater meridian. It's your sympathetic nervous system. It's your fight or flight. It's about metabolism. It's about the main way of getting energy, mitochondria, into mitochondria for the body. And most people now have low thyroid. The original markers for that were something like 0.5 to 2, and then they just sort of increased it to 5. So it went from 0.5 to 5 of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And what this meant was a lot of people who would have had definitely issues with thyroid were suddenly within the acceptable band, which is ludicrous, because it really meant anyone between 2 and 5 could be on a lot of different drugs for things that would naturally have been sorted out if their thyroid was working properly. And Dr. Ray Peat has shown categorically that really your TSH should be around about 0.4 or certainly under 0.5. So you can see here that most people are now regarded as being within the realm of having their thyroid TSH okay, but they're not. So this is my take on it. When you start producing TSH, part of that breaks down to T4, which is basically for iodine molecules, but you need a healthy liver to break T4 to T3. T3 needs to be used to power mitochondria. Now, for most people, they don't have good livers, especially for you girls. There's often a problem with estrogen, high estrogen, and as the liver is not functioning properly, it's very hard sometimes to produce T4 to T3. Also, a big thing with the liver is copper. Hardly any copper now in the diet, or certainly the supermarkets, etc. And when you've got low copper, you've got high iron in your tissues. When you've got high iron in your tissues, you've got low magnesium. And when you've got low magnesium, you've got high calcium. So typically someone of 90 has 30 times more calcium in the body than someone of 30. And then the liver wants to use magnesium. Well, it doesn't have enough because of what I've just mentioned. So it'll often use zinc to break down things in the liver, which means some of the major things you need for the immune system and liver health you just don't have. And the knock-on is to T3, which you need to power your mitochondria. Methylene blue has been shown to act as a sort of pseudo T3. And so I think what's happening is because it's powering things up and your metabolism is suddenly reacting, a lot of these diseases that before seemed to be singular and separate are actually right down to the thyroid. So we love putting methylene blue in this Aloha. But remember, as you'll see in a minute if you carry on listening to this video, we also add frequencies to it to charge it in a different way. The methylene blue is really the holy grail, I think, of the thyroid function, and our results seem to indicate that. And finally, we've imprinted 9 frequencies into the solution of Aloha 7. You can think of it in the same way that if you're looking at a computer screen or a film where you record your voice, you can hear the tone and the timbre of your voice. You know who it is if you would meet them, having heard them on the phone for the first time. We spent a long time learning how to do this, and we use 3 different methods for imprinting and holding the frequencies into the solution. We believe that makes Aloha 7 a remarkable product, whether it's just something you take every day or for chronic problems. For any health professionals, medical people, therapists who would like more information about our imprinting, obviously it is proprietary, but we're happy to at least have a chat with you and give you some more information. So if you are going to use Aloha 7, we wish you the best of good health, and please let us know how you're getting on.